Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Remaining in the moment is witnessing. Remaining in the moment is witnessing. Any act you can, once you are in the moment, it can lead you to witnessing. And there are three things: witnessing, consciousness, and awareness. Witnessing is a way, a technique through which you go beyond the duality of conscious and unconscious. Mind as such is unconscious. So, witnessing is the way, the technique through which you attain to the state of consciousness. For the first time, you realize the unconscious and conscious aspects of the mind, moments of the mind. And when this continues, so first in witnessing is between the object and subject. When witnessing continues, the duality of object and subject vanishes and there remains just watching. You are watching the birds. Ornithology is the science of bird watching. You see the birds flying in the sky, you are watching. There is an object, the birds flying, there is a subject who is watching it. When the duality of object and subject vanish, witnessing completes. Then the second stage, the conscious and unconscious. In certain moments you are conscious, in certain moments you are not. And when the duality of the mind, consciousness, the witnessing is an act, consciousness, conscious and unconscious is a state of mind. So do not ask what is the difference between witnessing and consciousness. Witnessing is a state of mind. Witnessing is a technique, a way. Consciousness is a state of mind. Through witnessing you reach to this state of mind. Be aware of conscious and unconscious, and then finally when all the duality of conscious and unconscious disappear, neither good nor bad, then you are aware. So remain in the moment, enjoy the meeting of the two bodies when you are engaged in a sex act. Enjoy the meeting, the merging of the two bodies, two souls merging into each other, melting into one another. Forget that you are going anywhere. Remain in the moment, nowhere to go, and melt. Warmth, love should be made a situation for two persons to melt into each other. That is why there is no love. The sex act remains simply a hurried act. You are using the other. The other is just a means. And the same is the case with the other. Both are exploiting one another. But exploitation, using one another, is not merging into one another. Love is merging into one another. With love, you can merge. This merging is the beginning and will take you to new heights. If you are not in a hurry to finish the act, by and by, the act will become less and less sexual and more spiritual. Sex organs also melt into each other. A deep, silent communion happens between the two body energies, and then you can remain for hours together. This togetherness moves deeper and deeper as time moves on. But you do not think. Remain in the moment, deeply merged. It becomes an ecstasy, a cosmic orgasm, cosmic consciousness, a state of samadhi, a state of timelessness. You enter into the timeless realm. And if you can know this, if you can feel and realize this, there will not be any more sexual mind. It will become first non-sexual, because sex and no sex, they are two sides of the same coin. Like morality and immorality, then there is the beyondness, and for that there is the word immoral. You go beyond the two, you become asexual. You are neither sexual nor the opposite of it, non-sexual. But non-sexuality is the stage between the two, the transcendence. Sex is one aspect, no sex is another aspect. When the sex and no sex vanish, disappear, then comes a state of transcendence. A deep celibacy can happen that moment. You are not against it, you are not in favor of it, but you have attained the transcendence. You have not suppressed anything, you have not involved in anything, yet a transcendence happens. This looks paradoxical because we have always been thinking in terms that if a person has to remain celibate, he must not look at the other sex. Now, look at the situation. A mother feeds her child. The object is the same, but the one who is being fed is different. This is not an act of sex. The child is operating out of innocence. The sex sense has not developed in the child as yet. He suckles the mother's breast. But there is no element of sexuality in it. As compared to that, an adult, the situation is different. So when that state of innocence comes, it is according to the Hindu way, it is said when someone blesses that may you have the sons and let your husband be your son as well. This blessing is very meaningful. Husband is not innocent during the act. When a woman remains undressed in front of a child, there is no excitement in the child because the child is innocent. An aware person, an enlightened one, is also innocent. It happened, I have heard, once Buddha was meditating, was in the forest under the tree sitting. Some people carried a woman and a bottle of wine and all that, and they went. So when all the participants were drunk, the woman got an opportunity to escape from there. So somehow or the other, when these people got into the sense, they tried to look for the woman, but they could not find. So they thought they saw a man, a recluse, sitting under the tree in meditation. So he asked him, "Did you see a woman passing here?" In the response of Buddha was that of an awakened one out of innocence. He said, "Something passed, but I do not know it was a male or female." The duality between male and female has vanished. When you see a female body, many thoughts arise in your mind. That weakness is taken into account and developed as a science of pornography and other aspects. So a child sees it, but the sense is not developed. There is innocence. When this innocence comes out of your awakening, you can move. The child cannot go into the state of arousal with seeing a woman, but the Buddha can. A grown-up man can, but a Buddha does not, because he has transcended. For him, sex or no sex means nothing. When I said that there is sex beyond the known, the transcendence of sex, I mean this. How to attain to this? What are the ways and means? Through these talks, the subject matter for that talk will emerge. How to put it in a systematic manner that an ordinary person can go beyond it. So Buddha said, "Something passed, but I do not know it was an animal or a man or a woman, but something passed." This is the state of innocence. But innocence out of understanding. It looks paradoxical because we have always been thinking in terms of a person to remain celibate, he must not look at the other sex. To Buddha it does not matter, because his eyes are not outward. His eyes have started looking within. But the ordinary understanding says he must not meet the other sex. He must avoid, escape. This is a false celibacy. Buddha is celibate, but this is not the false. It has come out of awakening. The mind goes on thinking about the other sex. And the more you escape from the other, the more you think about it. And this is a basic deep need in everyone. Tantra says, do not try to escape. Do not try to avoid, because there is no way to escape, no way to avoid. Rather use nature itself to transcendence. Do not fight. Accept nature in order to transcend it. I'll give you an example with it. Ramakrishna was lying on the bed. He had throat cancer. Vivekananda was taking care of him. He had liked a particular rice dish very much. So one day, Sharda made that dish and brought the food for Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. Vivekananda was worried because of his master. So it happened. Ramakrishna asked Vivekananda, so you had your lunch? He said, yes. Well, what was the meal? He said, that rice dish. Oh, that was the rice dish that you like very much. Yes, so you must have enjoyed very much. Ramakrishna inquired. Vivekananda said, yes, I did. At this Ramakrishna said, don't lie. You did not eat that dish. You was eating my pain and agony. You was worried because of my pain. This happens in that state when you are too much ecstatic, lost in the love or the joy or the unknown and unknowable. Then this happens naturally. I gave you one example. When you are too much saddened for any reason, pain, then you do not enjoy something. When you are too much in ecstasy, a joy or something that you have not expected happens, then too your hunger vanishes. You are no more hungry because your hunger has been satiated by the joy, inner joy. So when there is inner joy, and what happened in Buddha, that ecstasy is squirting so much and is spreading all inside and outside that he has forgotten. He become oblivious of ordinary things. These things happen when we do not pay attention to these. In spiritual life, you have to pay small things very much. That are very, very important. Tantra says there is no way that you can escape. Escape or avoidance is not possible. Rather use nature itself to transcend. And I gave you two examples. Do not fight. Accept nature in order to transcend. If this communion with your beloved or your lover is prolonged and there is no need for the end in the mind, then you can remain in the beginning, as the sutra says. Excitement is energy. You can lose it. You can come to a peak. In that the energy is lost, and what follows is depression. A weakness follows. You may call it relaxation, but it is a negative aspect of relaxation. There is another dimension of relaxation which is higher, which is positive, which comes through Tantra understanding. Both partners melting with each other, give vital energy to each other. Sometimes it happens, you go in the company of the master, just a look, just being in his company, you are so much overwhelmed that you can go on and on for some time. That's why the master says, someone asked, how often do I have to come? He said, at least once in a month, if at least once in a week, if not, then at least once in a month. If that too is not possible, this is how the mind goes. Every time when the session takes place, I may not come, then at least once in 6 months. And if it is not, then at least once in a year. If not, then forget about spirituality, go and live your normal worldly life. That is the reason that I have introduced these sessions only 3 days. Saturday is usually a day of holiday. Sunday is no work. Monday was introduced for one person who had asked certain questions. So in order to respond to the questions of that person, and that basically the session started to respond to the questions of the seeker. But it happened, everyone wants to start the things, but then vanish. A couple years ago, someone had asked that he would like to know what is my views on Tantra. So I started the sessions because of him. Sometimes he is there, sometimes he is not there because he doesn't have time. So there is no sincerity into that. And when you come in the company of the master, even for a few moments or for a certain period of time, so much energy is infused into you that you can go on and on. Like you fill the tank with the gas, and the gas can take you, depending on the manufacturer's mileage, it may go on, the full tank can take you to 300 miles or 400 miles or whatsoever be the range. The same thing is with electric vehicles. What certain vehicles, depending on the battery, how strong is your battery, you charge it. One charge takes 8 hours, 4 hours, depending on, and one charge can give you 300 to 400 miles. So when you come in the company of the master, your car gets the fuel, you are charged, and you can go on with that charge for certain times. At times it is very essential. Now we have so much of facilities which were not available long time. There was no social media, there was no phones, and even until some time ago, when you have to call to someone or you have to call to your master in another city or another country, then you have to pay the phone charges. Now everyone has the internet connection and Wi-Fi. With that, can talk to the person, and master is always ready. Always respond to the calls, but we do not have time to call. And why should I call master? continue to remain in the world. So Tantra says, Tantra gives you a higher relaxation. The two partners melting with each other give vital energy to each other. This is just with the two partners in the act of love making give energies to each other, that you become a circle and their energy begins to move in a circle without finding any exit. The energy moves through the end of the nerves. That's why when we are angry, we shake hand and we shake feet, and so with that energy is released. But when you sit down in a posture, when in a meditative posture or called Padmasana, when the body becomes a circle, then the energy does not escape from any point. So these positions are made for no fun, for a specific reason, that you can make your body a circle so that energy does not escape and keeps on that is why the active meditations has been given. There are certain techniques which I have introduced for the children. Children like certain games. You can do the same thing. You can start doing the jogging. And when you do the jogging, you have done a certain amount. First, how to generate the energy, then how to enter into when energy is generating. Then, what are the different layers of energy? The physical energy, the emotional energy, and the spiritual energy. So, when you are jogging, you are generating the energy. But energy is releasing. If all of a sudden you stop and freeze totally, no movement, then the energy is not finding escape to go anywhere. It jumps and reaches into those parts of the body where it is needed. When you come into the company of the Master, you are in a state of frozen. So whatever energy comes into you or generates at that time does not escape in any way, and it goes and energizes you complete. So when you put the electrical socket or the fuel pump into the car, and in the car tank gas starts going, it is not escaping anywhere, it is remaining within, and through the system of the car the gas gives you a certain amount of mileage, and then you need to refill it again. So in the same way, you have to keep the company of the Master again and again, but you can do it through the sexual union, the two partners melting into one another. They become a circle, the energy begins to move. Now, I was telling you jogging person can do an exercise, but jogging is one aspect and freezing is another aspect which is more important. And then when you are jogging, you can jog on the physical energy for a certain amount, like you are going somewhere, taking the children out, you have the money in the wallet, but that is the physical money, and it has a limit. You can keep a certain amount. You can keep maybe $1,000, maybe $500, but in Americans don't keep that much money in the pocket, and even these days people don't keep that much money in their pocket. So when that is finished, one layer of the resources is finished, but you are aware that you have the other source of energy which has much more capabilities. Your credit card has a greater limit. So physical energy comes from the food that you eat. You have come home, you had your dinner, you are tired, you told your family members the children and wife that you are tired, you are going to rest, don't disturb you. But then something happens. An emergency situation comes in. Or you get a sudden news that somebody, a person who you have not seen for a long time, comes in. Means that an emotional situation comes in. You jump out of the bed and you can get tremendous energy. Where does this energy comes from? You have reached the threshold of the physical energy which is finished. Like you have reached the threshold of the physical money which has finished. So you enter into the other layer, which is the credit card or debit card. You use the debit card or you use the credit card. So this is the emotional aspect. Then when you continue jogging, again, like this stages one can experience through jogging. You're jogging on the physical energy, depending on your physical health. You can jog 10 minutes, 15 minutes. After that, a moment comes when you say that I cannot jog anymore. If I jog, I'll fall down. But it never happens. If you continue even after that, just you are opening the door of the next room, it takes a few moments. But the moment it is open, you can enter into the other, and then you can jog again 10 to 15 minutes without any problem. Although you are saying, if I continue, I will fall down, but it does not happen that way. Then again a situation comes in when you reach this threshold of the second layer. You cannot go anymore. But if you are determined, your instructor will tell you, he knows about it, because he is accustomed training the people. He said, no, continue. He said, I will fall down. No, you will not fall down. I assure you, you continue. So hesitatingly you continue, and then you can continue for another 15 minutes. Then if this becomes a practice like that, then consciously you can enter into different layers of your energy. Just as consciously your physical money is finished, you enter into debit card, then debit card finished or one card finished, you enter into another credit card. You realize this credit card limit is not enough, but you have another card, a reserve card that you always keep for reserve in an emergency situation. So getting in connection with the cosmic energy, which is infinite to infinite quantum, then you can enter into that without any problem. So these are the three layers where you can enter. First you have to practice, and when you practice it, a stage comes, then you can go into your reserve resources, the reserve energy. So when this circle is completed, you are coming to the company of the master or giving a call. It means that a circle is completed. You are infused with the energy. You have gotten your tank full or your battery charged, then you can continue for another certain period of time. Then you need to renew again. You again have a talk, and then the process continues. But in case of love making, the two vitalize one another. A circle is completed, as I have mentioned, that the first stage of love making is when it is like a square, when there are four angles. You are two, your spouse is two, the thinking and the feeling mind, the thinking and the feeling mind of your spouse, four. Then next stage comes a triangle. The base have two angles. Then there is an angle on top. So in certain moments you lose the duality, the thinking and the feeling mind, and you attain to oneness. The third is circle, which has no angles. Although there are imaginaries, there can be a circle, inside the circle a triangle or a rectangle or a square, but it is not seen. Circle has no angle. No energy is lost, rather more energy is generated. The one gives the energy to the other gives, and then the continuous remains the energy flow. Like the magnetic field, when the magnetic charge moves from the North Pole to the South Pole, a circle is completed and it never gets depleted. That is the magnetic charge. That is when we have the batteries, electromagnetic batteries being charged by the electricity, the equipment batteries, the phone, the laptop, iPad, iPhone, all these batteries. No energy is lost, rather more energy is generated, because through the contact with the opposite sex, your every cell is challenged, excited, and you can merge into that excitement without leading to a peak. If you can remain in that state, nothing is lost, and the warmth will meet you, and you can remain for a long time charged. Through it, your split personality does not remain split anymore. You revitalize one another. The process is bridged. All neurosis, all splitness is bridged again. You become again a child, innocence. As I mentioned, Buddha becomes an innocent, a child. And once you know this innocence, you can go on living in the society as it may require. You may act. Now you are doing the acting. This is the reason that somebody blesses a married woman, let your husband be your child. Means attain to the innocence, the childlike innocence. That is why Jesus said, so when he was asked who can enter the kingdom of your Father, one who is childlike. Being childlike is a conscious effort. A child's innocence is unconscious. His child is not aware of his innocence. But an awakened one is aware. Through awareness, through conscious effort, whatsoever has happened to him through his, as I said, you start with witnessing. Witnessing leads you, witnessing is the way. Consciousness or unconsciousness is a state of mind. Mind can be conscious at times it can be unconscious. But when you transcend this state of mind, of being conscious and unconscious, then you enter into a state of awareness. 3 stages: witness, the way; consciousness, the state of mind; and awareness is the transcendence. It can happen through sex, it can happen through food, it can happen through any act that you are doing. But once you know the real being and the wholeness, the unreal society cannot drive you neurotic. You can work in the office, you can be a part of the family, you can do everything. You know you are acting. This family, this togetherness is by accident. By accident, you are husband and wife. There was certain needs, that this need could be fulfilled by only this. That's why you bought this particular capacity of the laptop or the smartphone because of your needs. What is your need? You need, and my father, probably an old man, may not, who is not active in life, he may not need an ordinary a smartphone. He may need less memory, but you, depending on, because you are using your smartphone for emails, messages and all these things, you need a larger memory. So you can be a part of the society, the unreal society. The husband, the wife, the children, we are by accident together for a process of growth, because my growth is connected with you and that process continues. That's why this particular sutra says, at the start of the sexual union, keep attentive on the fire in the beginning, and in so continuing, avoid the embers in the end. No excitement, no thinking of release, energy is dissipated, then energy is dissipated, there is no more fire. You are simply relieved of the energy without gaining anything. There is no excitement, nothing is lost. Everything rejuvenates one another. The battery connection that is connected to charge your battery is functioning properly. Instead of the charges being escaped, it charges the battery. And once the battery is charged, it can give you a certain amount of mileage. We will continue in the next sutra. When in such embrace, your senses are shaken like leaves, enter this shaking. Shiva is very relevant in giving these sutras in a very mathematical form, like chemical equations. So we will take this particular sutra in tomorrow's session. Until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.